One of the tribes that, coincidentally, were similar to the Mongols in terms of resilience and toughness was the Kara Kitai, who lived between the Khwarezmian-Iranian region and the Mongols' king. When the Kara Kitai were eliminated, the Mongols became neighbors with the Iranians. Genghis Khan, who was caught between establishing relations with two great civilizations, the Eastern, China, and the Western, Iran, sought to establish relations with the Khwarezmshah. For a while, several ambassadors were exchanged between the two countries, and Mongol merchants traveled to Iran, while Iranian merchants went to Mongolia. Both courts sent gifts and offerings to one another. Genghis Khan made the most of these cordial relations and was pleased because he had managed to establish a connection between an ancient civilization and a wild one. He hoped that, with the help of Iran, he could elevate the Mongols to higher levels of civilization. Among the courtiers of both countries, there were also those who were optimistic about these relations and worked to realize Genghis Khan's wish. Particularly, the Islamic scholars of Iran hoped that perhaps in this way they could convert the Mongols to Islam. However, fate had other plans, and the course of events took a different turn. As a result, Genghis Khan's hopes were dashed, and this disappointment led to a catastrophic event known as the Mongol invasion. The story begins in 612 AH, 1215 AD, when Genghis Khan's army captured Beijing, the capital of China, and the brilliant Chinese civilization was trampled underfoot by the Mongols. When news of this victory by the Tatars reached Sultan Muhammad Khwarezmshah, a proud and arrogant man, he was angered by the fact that Genghis Khan had accomplished this without informing him. This resentment led to the subsequent horrific events. Additionally, in all of these incidents, Turkan Khatun, the cunning, deceitful, and greedy mother of Sultan Muhammad Khwarezmshah, would constantly provoke him, reproaching him for befriending a wild nation after so many brilliant conquests. Turkan Khatun's influence over Sultan Muhammad was so great that she personally selected or approved the selection of all the top, second, and even third-tier governors of various regions of the Khwarezmian Empire. One of these governors was a man named Genghis Khan, known as Inaljig, who ruled over the frontier city of Otrar. He was a brave, ambitious, and political man, but he was under the thumb of Turkan Khatun because he was her nephew and took orders from her. One of these orders was to plunder the first large Mongol caravan that entered Otrar. Since Otrar was the first border city between Iran and Mongolia, all Mongol caravans were bound to stop there. The first Mongol caravan to enter Otrar was a wealthy caravan of 500 people. Genghis Khan, following Turkan Khatun's orders, plotted and, the day after the merchants' arrival, killed all the Mongol traders except for one, who had luckily left the city for some business and survived. This sole survivor returned to Mongolia and reported the incident to Genghis Khan. Since the fate of the Khwarezmians had already been sealed, Sultan Muhammad Khwarezmshah, either under Turkan Khatun's orders or her direct threat, killed the subsequent special envoys sent by Genghis Khan to verify the massacre of the Mongol merchants. When news of the murder of the special envoy reached Genghis Khan, it was like a spark igniting a powder keg. Genghis Khan prepared for war. Regarding the size of the Mongol army at the beginning of the attack on Iran, no accurate number has been obtained from any source, as estimates range from 150,000 to 750,000 troops, with Western historians generally agreeing on a figure of around 200,000. Regardless of whether the number was 100,000, 200,000, or more or less, the Mongols, seeking revenge for the blood of their slain merchants, invaded Iran in 616 AH, 1219 AD. The first city to face a direct assault was Otrar on the 7th of Rajab, 616 AH, 1219 AD, because the Mongol merchants had been massacred there. Of course, not all the Mongols attacked Otrar. Genghis Khan, who had an extraordinary genius for military strategy and warfare, divided his army into several groups to keep Khwarezm-Shah engaged on multiple fronts, preventing the concentration and organization of Iranian forces. He led one group himself, while his sons, Jochi, Tolui, Ogedei, and Chagatai, or other generals, commanded the other divisions. If we were to recount how the Mongols conquered each city and region of Iran, it would be a long story, but it is impossible to ignore the Mongol operations in this discussion. The Mongols first captured Otrar and massacred its inhabitants. Ghayur Khan, who had resisted the Mongols for 5 months, was eventually captured and executed by Genghis Khan's orders. Afterward, the cities of Iran were conquered one by one, either by surrender or by force. In any case, the Mongols, under the leadership of Genghis Khan and his sons, fulfilled the role that the compulsion of history had placed upon them. They instilled such fear in the hearts of people throughout Asia, Europe, and even parts of Africa that, according to legend, Dutch fishermen did not dare venture beyond the North Sea for fear of falling into the hands of the Mongols and being eaten alive. Genghis Khan, during his lifetime, conquered so many lands and countries that, when he died, each of his sons' inheritance included several countries. The Mongol Empire continued to expand its territories even further after his death, and Mongol civilization blended with the various civilizations of different nations across the world. As for the effects of the Mongol invasion on Iran and other parts of the world, aside from the destruction and looting that befell the significant buildings of the Islamic world, and the way they decimated the roots of knowledge, literature, and art in the conquered lands, the minimum impact of the blending of Mongol barbarism with the refined civilizations of Asia and Europe can be summarized as follows. 1. The flourishing of trade between Eastern and Western Asia, and also between Asia and Europe. 2. The establishment of political relations between Asia and Europe by the Mongol rulers and European kings. 3. The development and expansion of interactions among scholars from the eastern and western parts of Asia, including the Chinese, Turanians, Arabs, Uyghurs, Iranians, Turks, and other Asian nations and tribes. 4. The spread of the Persian language and certain Persian customs and traditions in Eastern Asia. 5. The spread and popularization of Islam among the Mongols and some countries in Eastern Asia, as well as in the southern parts of Europe. Later on, despite their ferocity, the Mongols became so deeply integrated into the civilization and culture of the Iranians that not only did they adopt the religion of the Iranians, Islam, but they also dressed like Iranians and practiced Iranian customs. In other words, once again, Iran not only did not dissolve into its enemy, but, as with the Arabs, Greeks, and Romans, imposed its own characteristics upon the invader.